You're joining today's webinar presented by ManagedMethods on student security, safety, and CIPA compliance for protecting those browsers, content and web filtering at the browser level. That's what we're going to talk about today. So hopefully you're in the right spot. Thank you again for joining us. We'll get started here in about 60 seconds. We'll let everybody get logged in. Seeing lots of familiar names out there. A lot of our customers, thank you for joining us. A lot of some new names out there. Excellent. Thank you. Well, good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you are here in the United States or Canada or anywhere maybe logging in from around the world. Again, my name is David. I'll be your host. We'll go ahead and get started here now. Everybody should be able to see the screen, and we'll get started. So let me make sure I've got my screen up. Okay, Charles, you can see everything. Nod your head, right? We're good to go. Manny, you can see everything. Okay. Alrighty, well, let's get underway. A little quick housekeeping as always with these types of virtual things. Yes, the webinar is being recorded, and everyone who is in attendance today and who's registered for the event, because we know some folks can't attend right now live, you'll usually receive the recording within about 24 hours. Just depends on how fast it takes. In this case, our platform we're using for this is Zoom Meeting, so however long it takes to process the video and audio recordings, you will be receiving a copy of today's webinar, as well as the presentation and some other resources. Any questions that audience members may have throughout the presentation, please submit them into the QA panel, and we'll do our best to get to all those before we wrap up today. By default, everyone in the attendee audience is muted, so please put your questions again into the QA, or feel free to use the chat. We're going to be monitoring both of those. Alrighty, well, buckle up. Let's get underway. So for those of you that may not be familiar with us here at ManagedMethods, ManagedMethods is on a mission, and that mission is to help make the online learning environment and collaboration and communication safe and secure for our education customers. This is what we do. We're purpose built for the K-12 audience. That's all we serve. And our goal out there through our platforms is to help schools address a lot of different problems. And you know, there's many problems we could talk about for a long time. And I'm sure our guest panelists today could go into a lot of these and many of the audience members. But, you know, at the core of it, schools have become more reliant on cloud-based technology for everything from the classroom to the communication to the collaboration, everything we do. And technology departments historically don't have as many resources maybe as their counterparts in the commercial world. You know, in the education world, it tends to be IT departments lean and don't necessarily have all the resources available to them. And now more than ever, we're seeing an all-time high in terms of cyber attacks, cyber incidents, not to mention you know, the mental health crisis that our world has faced. And you know, it's been a rocky road these last 4 or 5 years. You know, we made it through the global pandemic. Thank you all that kept the lights on in schools and helped us get going through that. And world has changed around us from a technological standpoint, as well as just how we attract these things. So, you know, here at ManagedMethods, our goal is simple. You know, cybersecurity, student safety, data protection, compliance, all the things that are vastly important to you, the K-12 technology leaders out there, to support safe and effective learning environments and keep the lights on, keep things moving forward and rolling. Those of you that are customers in the audience are familiar with our historical flagship, and that is Cloud Monitor. And then today we're going to talk about the new member of the family, the little brother, little sibling, little sister, if you would, to Cloud Monitor is now Content Filter. And so we're going to be diving into that. I'll set the stage a little bit here with just a little bit about the technology platforms, but then we'll get right into a live demonstration of Content Filter. And then we're going to also have a conversation here with our good friend Manny, and we'll have Manny introduce himself momentarily as we get into that. Okay. Alrighty. So again, those of you that are longstanding customers, I see a lot of names in the audience. You've been familiar with our flagship product, Cloud Monitor, which has been in the market now, 7, going on 8 years, I think. And we've been the leader in that market segment for helping protect and monitor and secure Google Workspace, Microsoft 365, Zoom Meeting, WebEx, etc. And that's all done, of course, through API technology directly through a cloud software as a service platform that's analyzing everything that goes on inside of the workspace, the Microsoft 365, whether it's emails, it's file shares, it's video collaboration, communication, anything that's happening inside of that workspace domain or 365 domain tenant, whether it's staff to staff, staff to student, student to student. If it's an email, it's in a mailbox, it's a drive file, it gets shared, it's a third-party app that gets plugged in, it's something that's in a chat, it's shared in the communication in a Teams or a Google Meet. We're going to be able to detect that with our industry-leading student safety AI-trained models, machine learning, to detect whether it be cyber incidents, data theft, data loss, access control, logins that are coming from outside of the country, getting down all the way into the safety signals and the artificial intelligence and machine learning that helps detect everything from self-harm, threats to oneself, threats of suicide, sexually explicit content, cyberbullying, you name it, all the stuff that we need to try and keep that junk out of our school districts' daily lives. So we decided to take that further and take it beyond just what we had been doing inside the workspace. And due to many requests from our customers, we decided to extend that all the way out to the browser. And that's what we're going to get into a little bit more today with Content Filter, taking our signals, student safety AI, and all of our other advanced machine learning and AI technology, and pushing that out into the browser and doing it all without proxy. I don't know if my camera's blurred out there, without the proxy, without the agent, and pushing it out to the browser through an extension. And so we're excited now. We quietly launched this platform into the market some time ago, and we brought on a good number of customers now joining us, and we're really excited about what we can do now. And therefore, we're going to be the leader in the market space once again, the first vendor that can go all the way from browser all the way back to the email file, to the drive file, to the Google Meet session, and all the way back all in one. And so we're really excited about that. And it's going to be, it's a simple, affordable, powerful solution. You'll see that demonstrated here momentarily. And you'll hear from one of our longstanding customers that had used us together in partnership with Cloud Monitor, and now in partnership with Content Filter. So really excited about it. What you're going to be seeing here from Charles in the demonstration, we're going to get into the technology. It is a browser extension architecture. There's no proxies. There's no agents that get installed. The focus is browser level URL blocking, so you can apply your permissions and rule sets across domains, OUs, groups. It's directly integrated into, for example, the Google Admin Console in terms of deployment. And we have great support today across the Chrome browser from Google, as well as the Edge browser from Microsoft, and coming soon to a Apple Safari browser near you. So that one will be coming out shortly in the future. And so this browser-based artificial intelligence will flag all of the traditional safety signals and risks that folks have been accustomed to with our platform, Cloud Monitor, inside of your email or file shares or chats or apps. Now we're going to be extending that capability as well to inputs coming from the browser as well. So why don't we go ahead and jump over here. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a moment. I'd like to introduce two folks joining me here today, Mr. Charles Mogan, Senior Product Specialist. Many of you have been around the ManagedMethods world before, have heard Charles before, both in webinars and other conversations, presentations, conferences around the country. And our special guest today, we're pleased to have Manny Sanchez join us, coming from Southern California. Manuel, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself officially to the audience?
Well, thanks. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm coming from Azusa Unified School District, which is kind of the outskirts of LA County. We're really close to the edge on the eastern side. We are supporting approximately 7,000 students or so. We are a unified school district. And we have the need to support little TK preschool kids all the way up to high school kids and some kids that are 85 or 90, because we also do adult ed, although the content filter isn't something that we traditionally apply for them.
Probably a good thing. So tell us a little bit about the environment. You of course have been using the Cloud Monitor platform. You've been partnering with ManagedMethods for a couple of years, protecting your email file sharing, your domain in that aspect. Tell us a little bit about the environment now that you've brought our new content filter platform into.
Sure. So So, I mean, the cloud monitor tool is amazing. We're not here to talk about that, right? But that really is what got me into ManagedMethods and the reason why I was so open to try out the content filter. It was easy to set up, right, and worked very well. And when I came in here to the district a couple of years ago, they really didn't implement anything, right? And there's things that I like to put into two different buckets whenever I look for a solution, right? There are the nice to haves and the needs to haves, right? Nice to haves are just things like I would consider Cloud Monitor something that you might nice to have, don't necessarily need it. Although because of my staffing and the ability to view what I need to view, I would consider it definitely a need to have, right? But content filtering is something that every school district needs to have. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? We are assigning devices to students. They are taking devices either home or in the classroom. And because of CIPA compliance, we need to make sure that we are preventing them from getting into things that they shouldn't be, getting a hold of, right? And so for me, that content filter was something that I definitely wanted to explore. I've used others in the past. They're bulky. They're sometimes hard to set up. They don't identify great. They didn't do a great job. But just kind of kicking the wheels with the content filter, you knew kind of right away that it was pretty straightforward, pretty easy to manage, and got the job done.
Well, and thanks, Manny, because as you pointed out, and I appreciate the kind words about our flagship cloud monitor. I think many folks in today's audience who, like I said, I recognize a lot of existing customers would agree with you. We have needs and wants in this world, and nice to have, must have. And, many of our customers, certainly our cloud monitor product, can you live without it? Absolutely. But people have learned that our platform can make their lives a whole lot easier. And you made a good point, especially when it comes to staffing and resources. It's like having another set of full-time hands in your environment helping you with that. But you made an excellent point. In the world of web filtering, content filtering, there's a nice little 4-letter acronym out there. And I'm just joking when I say 4-letter CIPA. That CIPA is something that's looming out there in the back of everyone's minds because it's tied to E-rate funding. And if you're a public entity that receives federal taxpayer dollars, like many K-12 schools out there do, it's a very important component of it. And it's our mission. We have to protect the kiddos, and we got to keep an eye on things. And so this is an exciting time, and we appreciate you joining us today. So let's dive a little bit more, and you kind of talk to that. What when you learned about content filter, you saw a demonstration of it, you ran a pilot of it. What kind of devices are you deployed on right now? Your browser, you've gone into the browsers on Google Chrome browser?
Yeah, we're primarily a Chrome, a Google shop, if you want to call us that. Our students all have a Chromebook, right? There are some use cases where there's some PCs or Macs out in the environment, but those will usually use Chrome as well, just for the purposes of authentication and getting access to the resources. And so we're very heavy on the Google side.
Got it. Okay. And when you were going through this, you were replacing an existing solution you had in place, and you decided to do this kind of mid-year, which is somewhat unusual. Tell us about that experience and the onboarding and rolling out this, and was there anything that you thought would be important to share with folks out there?
Yeah, again, going back to just the complexity of getting some of these solutions out there, and the frustration of not having them work well enough or and then making sure that whatever platform you're on is working well and being able to identify the students. What I liked about it was we were able to run both simultaneously, right? We got it running, and we immediately saw the impact that it made as far as being able to report and being able to see what was being the attempts of access the students were trying to have with the devices. And so it made it a no-brainer. It had no impact. I mean, we really were running both things at once. I saw the benefits of the content filter, and I said, well, if it's running, it's going to continue to run. I don't see the need to wait till the summertime before to do this migration. We were live. Essentially, we just opened it up to more OUs, to more students, and essentially once it installed, and it went off pretty well.
Outstanding. Well, I of course, as one of the original team members here, and Charles, I know the level of white glove, firsthand, the treatment, the support. Our support team is great, but I'm it's a early times for us. So it's a new product. We're excited about it, and we're really excited to have that roll out. And yeah, thank you for sharing how it was a smooth process you went through and implemented that and got that up and going. So why don't we go ahead and bring the product up, Charles? Let's actually get into it. Share with the audience a live demonstration, and then we'll have Manny have you help with the play-by-play here and provide some commentary and some of the things that jumped out at you with that.
Excellent. My screen should be coming up there.
Yeah, I can see it. Manny, can you see the screen all right? Good. Okay. All righty.
Perfect. So this is going to be the summary page of the content filter, and this serves as its landing page here. Very first thing I'll mention too, the content filter also does support multiple domains. If you happen to have a secondary domain or something like that, and you need to filter multiple domains, it does support that as well too. Right now here, we're looking at the past 24 hours. We can pull that all the way out to the past month. That's kind of the maximum range of the filter. It'll go out to 30 days back with the data here we're seeing on this summary tab here and data in general. Very first thing you're going to see here is your top sites. So this is just giving an idea of what top sites are out there. With any of those top sites, you're able to do a go to URL option there. You can also do what's called an access lookup. This will give you the breakdown of which students were visiting that site, how many visits they had, what was the breakdown of percentage totals there. In this case, this is a little bit of an automated system here, so that's why the visits are exactly identical here in this case. But certainly quite handy to get an idea of, okay, which students were actually going to that site, how many visits did they go there. There's also then a view full URL, so it allows you to go ahead and grab that entire URL. In the case of this is just that they just went to this specific part of the website here, didn't get any further there. So we can also see here over on the right hand side, we've got our top blocked sites here, so we can take a look at that as well too. Again, we can do that same kind of access lookup here, which gives us kind of the full insight into what's going on with that. So very similar here between the two. Further down here is account activity. So this is looking at the activity in relation to the content filter there. So as people are active on the internet, as the content filter is picking up stuff, you'll see ebbs and flows of the activity here. Of course, generally speaking, late at night, you'll probably see a lot less activity here as well too. To the right of that, you're going to see accounts and devices last seen. So the account side of things here, if it's been seen within the last 24 hours, you can have this green graph here. If it's been seen within the last week, you'll have gold here. And then if it's been greater than a week, you'll have a gray bar here. In this case, all these accounts have been seen within the last 24 hours here. But over on the devices side, we can see we've got a couple devices here that actually haven't been seen, have been only seen within the last week or so. And these are just really some kind of high level initial kind of statistics of here's what's going on in the environment, here's what the platform has seen so far. And then of course, the core of the content filter is a policy section here. So we start off with an allow list, and the way this is deployed with the allow list is this applies to the block list as well too, is you can set those allow lists, those block lists based on your organizational unit. So you've got abilities here. It will pull down your OU structure. This environment has a very simple OU structure here with just this students and this guest. Most environments are going to have a more complicated OU structure, of course, but you can set those allow lists, those block lists based on those different OU structure there. You're then able to add allows by site, and these allows will overwrite anything you do on the block list. So if you need to let something through in the platform, if you come over to the allow list, you can let that through. Even if you're blocking something for the whole domain here, this allow list still takes precedent there. So here we can see we've got a couple different sites here that have been in the allow list here. You're able to categorize those sites if you'd like to as well too. You don't have to do that. You can always remove those sites if you need to. There is also an ability to import from an existing global list if you have that, or from a file here as well too. So quite handy to be able to quickly input some of those sites that you already have that are approved and you know and trust there. We also do have some pre-built categories. This is probably something that it ties more into the block list rather than the allow list here, but that is available as well too, where we have some pre-built categories here as well too that you can certainly add as allow lists. And then the platform has a very good input detection, so it's very much able to see when somebody types something, they press enter there. If they're searching something, they're sending, say, a message on social media or something of that nature there. The platform has very good search detection there. So we have an ability here to allow through specific search terms if we need to. That can be based on keywords or regex. So if there's a situation where somebody is searching for something, it's a legitimate search, we can allow that through if it's being blocked otherwise. And then, of course, the core of any filter there is the block list side of things here. So very similar, as you can see, between the allow list and the block list. And again, those are set at that organizational unit level. So you can certainly set things at the domain level if you'd like, or certainly can be more specific and set that on individual, say, student OUs or things of that nature here as well. Very similar idea here. You can put in specific sites. You can choose to categorize those sites if you'd like. And then there are notifications that can be set. So this is the overall notification section here. So you can add in email addresses here, comma separated, to go ahead and have multiple people receive notifications when the filter has gone ahead and blocked something directly. You can choose when those notifications will go out. So right now this is set to notify immediately, but we can also choose when those notification emails are going to go out during the day as well too. So the alert period here is just from between 6 a.m. and 3 p.m. and that's only Monday through Friday. You can also have those notifications go out on the weekends if you like, but you don't have to. And of course, you can have different. Each day can be different if you'd like as well too, where you can override that. Otherwise, by default, it's just going to inherit it from the previous day there as well. If you choose not to have immediate notifications, you can choose a specific time to receive those notifications, as well as a specific frequency every hour, 2 hours, 6 hours, or every 12 hours there as well too. Of course, if you want to be more specific with that, you can also just set notifications on individual sites as well too, if you'd like. So these little magnifying glass or kind of icons here are going to go ahead and let you go ahead and do that. You can also choose to mute notifications. So what this will do is the platform will still be blocking the site, but it's just not going to send you any notifications via the platform here as well. And then same idea here with the import from global list or file there as well too. We then also do have some pre-built categories as well too. So you can go through and preview those sites directly, see what sites are going to be potentially blocked here, but it will give you an idea of some pre-built things here ready to go. So you can quickly get some things set up. We've got some common sites in here as well too. So of course there are things like VPNs, for example, proxies, as you saw there, adult content here down below, things like dating applications, other sorts of things in here. So certainly you can set up a lot of category-based blocks as well too, that we've got pre-populated and ready to go there. And then we can also set up those notifications again on those individual categories or overall here as well too. Again, as I mentioned, the platform does a good job with input detection. So it's also very capable of keeping a close eye on search terms and blocking those if needed as well too. So we've got some different examples here of just specific keywords, but a lot of times we can port over things. So if you're concerned about searches for inappropriate content or things like that, we can do broader terms where we just put in a lot of different keywords that can go ahead and certainly look for things as well too, not let students try to access searches that they shouldn't be and things of that nature there as well. So, and again, that can be set at any level you'd like there. We then come to our risk section. So this is where the platform is going to be using that same kind of risk scanning engine if you're familiar with Cloud Monitor. If you're not, but this is our risk scanning engine. So it's going to go out and look for those inputs. So if somebody goes to Instagram and starts typing a DM while they're on the content filter, it's going to go ahead and pick that up. If it's a situation where they're on Facebook Messenger or Google Chat or any of those sorts of things where they're pressing enter and they're using the web interface, that's something that the content filter will pick up. Certainly searches as well too. And we can have different things that it can evaluate for. So we have two different machine learning models, our self-harm machine learning model and our toxicity risk machine learning model. So those work quite effectively to keep an eye on things as well too. With that as well too, you've got that ability again to configure those notifications how you like. They can go to specific people. Again, that can be also based on your OU structure as well too. So if, hey, we want to make sure that all the middle school notifications are going to the middle school principal. Great, you could go ahead and set that up. And with those two, it will provide the actual what the student wrote as well too. So very easy for those users to understand exactly what the student was searching or what the student was typing in there that was cause for concern. So you're certainly able to set those up to keep an eye on those kinds of concerning behavior that may be going on as well too. And it's very customizable. You'll notice that we've got a lot of our other kinds of models here. Apologies for the profane language there, but looking for inappropriate language as well too, or whatever you'd like. So you can very much customize these risk scans as needed here, especially with our phrase-based or regex-based supported models. So very similar to what we have over in content field or in our Cloud Monitor product as well too here. We'll even have a little key here to let you know the type of model there. So great for getting those notifications scheduled, get set out to who needs to have access to things there. So the platform also looks at YouTube as well too. So there's some different ways we can look at YouTube. So the first thing here is keywords. So this is based on the channel tags here. So we'll go ahead and block or allow certain specific tags that have been applied to videos here. So you can see here we've got some different ones that are blocked and allowed. Very easy to go ahead and set that up as needed as well. You can also block or allow specific channels if you need to as well too. That also will extend to specific videos. And then we can also do something called analyze videos here. So if I go ahead, and I don't know if this will pull up on the screen here, but if you're seeing YouTube now, that's what you should be seeing. But if I go ahead and, for example, grab this National Geographic video and come back over to the content filter here, press analyze, what you're going to see here is it's going to go ahead and pull all this information through. So then you're able to go through and pick out these different things. I could do an allow all, block all. I could say, hey, we're going to block National Geographic, or we're going to block this particular video. Very much your choice on how you want to go ahead and set things up there. So there's also a settings section here. So you also have options to block the sidebar, block the live chat, or block the comments here. So and if the YouTube is showing up here on my screen, and David, you can let me know if it is here, if we are seeing YouTube. One of the things that we actually have blocked, since we do run the content filter internally here, is the NBA. So how this blocking actually works, we have the NBA channel block. So if I hover over the videos here, you'll notice that it does a little preview and then it immediately blocks. And that applies to shorts as well too. So if I try to watch shorts, it's not going to let me do that either. Now, things that are not that specific channel, it's not going to block. But as I scroll down here, I try to look at these different videos, it's going to go ahead and go through and block them as it sees things come through on the on YouTube here. And that doesn't just extend to YouTube. So if I come over here to slides, for example, and I actually have one ready to go here, and I try to go ahead and watch the full game highlights of this, because again, it's blocked here. It'll play it for a moment and then it'll block that. So even though the video has been embedded here into Google Slides or Sheets or other places, that YouTube extends beyond that as well. So it's not just on someone going to youtube.com, it'll extend it to the other areas as well too. So Google Forms as well too. So works quite well to go ahead and keep a close eye on the YouTube side of things as well too. And then lastly, we've got our settings section here, which is just the block page. That's if you want to redirect that to somewhere else, this is just the default block page here. So then there's all that great information that the platform is collecting, that the platform is blocking and seeing there. And that's all collected in a central section here called violations. So violations allow you to do some more specific searches as well, just get an idea of what's going on with specific users with their specific violations. Now, right now, we're just looking at violations only. I could also go ahead and do a broader search here too, or I'm also just looking at general browsing activity as opposed to things that are specifically getting blocked. But it does default to violations only here, so that would include blocks, inappropriate language being put in, things of that nature here. So we can see here, this was one that was part of a block list. If I click on the blue text here, it's going to tell me exactly where that was blocked as well too. So if there's a situation where the platform is blocking something incidentally or not correctly, or hey, there's an issue where we need to let this through, you get a quick idea of, okay, here's the OU that it was blocking from. It's a site type block, and we know here's the specific site that was inputted. And if it was a category, it would say it was a category there as well too. To the right of that, we also then have this external and internal IP in our test environment here. We don't have that information right now, but that's something that the filter will be collecting as well. There's also then a view section here that has context, so you can go into the individual account and look at that one specific user if you'd like as well. For inputs here, you'll see the actual specific input in question. So here we can see there's a Google Chat input. I can click into this and I can also see the different risks that this was flagged as. So we can see here, it was a student, got flagged by the machine learning model, confidence on this one quite high. Makes sense as to why this got flagged by the toxicity model in here based on the language that we're seeing in there. So, so very easy to get an idea of what's going on. And then this information can be reported on. So you can use any of the different specific searches or filters in here to really narrow down what you're looking for, even a device IP in here. But I could say, hey, I'm really concerned about risk, and I'm really concerned about things in the student domain here, or the student OU there.
Charles, can I jump in for a second?
Absolutely.
I just want to point something out relating to the external internal IP. Because I think that's a great feature. One of the things I really enjoyed about it, or like about it, was because we have devices that, well, let's just say that our password scheme for our student accounts isn't the hardest to figure out. And some bright kids can figure out some other student's password. And so we've had instances where student A finds out student B's password, logs into a device with that student B's password, and starts wreaking havoc on that account, sending messages, going up to sites they're not supposed to do, that kind of stuff, right? And so what's really helpful with that is that, sometimes they do it inside the district. And so inside the district, it's hard to track who's on what, because that IP address, it stays the same. We see only the public IP address, right? And so with the tool, I'm able to see, hey, they're doing it inside the district, but they're also using this machine. Then I can pivot and look who's that internal IP has been logged to. And since Charles has been logging in all day, and then suddenly he logs in as David, we kind of figure out, hey, Charles, it's you. We know it's you. This is how we know it's you. Stop doing it. Or you talk to mom and dad saying, hey, this is not a good activity, right? So I just want to point that out, that I love that feature because it's super useful for us to kind of figure out when a student kind of gets their username compromised.
Absolutely. That's a great point there. Yeah, a newer feature that was introduced, the content filter, not that long ago, and definitely one that is very valuable there. Um, So with that information too, that can be all exported out to as a CSV or a PDF report, or you can also set up scheduled reports, and those can go out to specific people as needed. And then again, you've got that option to how you want those to be scheduled. So those can go out at a specific daily time each day if you need. So very much you can keep a close eye on things. It'll also show you here's all the filters that were applied there as well too that you're looking for as well. So very handy for those reports if there's a specific report on maybe an individual user or an overall OU that's causing problems. There's certainly ways to get those different reports and things set up as well too there. So with that as well, then there's also an account section. So if there's a situation where you need to focus in on one specific user and dive into their specific information, very easy to go ahead and do that as well too here. As you see here, we get some basic information on that user. So we get email address, OU, last known location. Hey, when was this account last heard from here? You can run reports right from here as well too, much like you can over on violations. But if we go into the account here specifically, we're getting the overall browser activity of the user as well. So getting kind of just more information as a whole here on what's going on with the user. Again, there's some different options to filter and search through here as well too, really narrow down what you're looking for. Of course, we've kind of got these big tabs here, make it easy to quickly go through things. And then you can run reports off this individual user as well. So you say, hey, I know there's a problem with this student. We just need to keep an eye on this student's overall browsing activity because they've been getting into a lot of problems and things like that. Okay, great. You can set a report up for that as well. And then at the bottom here, this is where this is also helpful, is because this will also pull through the different devices the user's been accessing. So for Chromebooks, we'll be pulling the specific ID that Google assigns it. For Windows devices, other non-Chromebook devices, that'll just be assigned a random IP address. But here again, you'll be able to get some information on those devices. You'll be able to see a local IP, public IP, and then the named location as well too. This is our test environment here, so we're not as specific, but this name location should also include some additional geolocation not geolocation, but some additional information in the in who the ISP is as well too, which can be helpful as you're trying to narrow some things down and track things down there. Of course, then there is a dedicated devices section as well too, which will pull through the various devices in the environment. Again, you can do a lot of different searches and filters in here as well, and then there's some reporting available. Now, some of these devices you may notice right away that they've got these big red boxes around them here. These are devices that have been reported as lost or stolen. So if there is a device that has been reported as lost or stolen, you have an ability to come in here, click the little lock icon. What this will do, this will lock the Chrome browser. So if someone opens up that device and goes to the Chrome browser, it's going to display a message that says, hey, this device has been reported as lost or stolen. Please contact whoever. And you can change that message as you'd like. Another really handy feature is ones where if you see there's more than one account logged in, so this might give you an indication that there might be multiple students using this specific device. So you could go ahead and dive into that device, get an idea of when those different users were accessing this device as well too. So that can be really helpful if there's a situation where maybe somebody took someone else's Chromebook and has decided to access it for whatever reason. You can get an idea, okay, we know that was the student that took that Chromebook and has that Chromebook. So that can be very helpful as well too in getting some additional information. And then it'll just give some high level details on here as well too. So extension version, things of that nature there. And then always that option there to, if the device has been reported as lost or stolen, you can go ahead and click that lock icon and that'll lock the Chrome browser there as well. But definitely just trying to give a little bit of device level information there as well too, what we can gather from the extension there as well. So. Last thing there, if you do have any scheduled reports, those will all be listed here as well too. You can modify those existing scheduled reports or outright delete those scheduled reports. And then there's an admin section here with some user activity that's being logged. So when users are accessing the filter here. And then lastly, there's a settings section. This allows you to change your time zone, change when devices have been reported as lost or stolen there. And then there's also an ability to customize notifications as well too in the platform there. So. But that is the content filter there, designed to be lightweight, very powerful, and able to do a good job of keeping a close eye on what students are getting up to there in a lot of different ways, whether that be the block lists or the risks, but keep a close eye on some things there.
Well, Charles, thank you, and we're seeing a lot of questions coming in, and Manny, this is we're going to come back to you because the folks in the audience would rather hear from you, somebody who's a real customer using this versus hearing my bald head yapping at them. So let's go back into some of these areas. And then we're going to jump into the questions coming in from our audience. Manny, you chimed in on a couple things, but are there other features, functionality that when you started looking at our new technology and comparing it to what you'd experienced before in web filtering, content filtering, which is a very broad market with a lot of vendors in it. It's been around for a long time. and we're arguably the newest kids on the block with this. So is there any feature functionality things you saw that jumped out initially like, wow, this is cool?
Well, I have to say that the first thing that's jumped out at me is how simple it was, right? The interface itself, it's not a lot. There's not a lot to look at. And again, without going into previous content filters, right? There's always so much to dig into, get to, modify settings. This is very simplistic, right? It's OU based. So we were able to just buy the OU, set up whatever we needed, whenever we were in a section that we need to address how we're going to handle it, whether it be reporting, whether it be filtering. You just look on the top right, you look at the OU, you knew it was there, you know where you were working on. And so it made it very simple for us to just implement what we needed. And our OU structure was pretty straightforward. We have staff, one OU by site, and then students by site. And so, it was fairly straightforward for us to set it up and make those slight adjustments. But it, again, it was just the simplicity and effectiveness is something I'd have to bring up.
In terms of when you look at simplicity, effectiveness kind of thing, let's look at some of these questions that have come from the audience. And then Charles, Manny, I'm going to ask you first, or your take on it, and then Charles, you can jump in and show it. So lots of questions coming in. We've had, the first one, this is for a general purpose. As I mentioned earlier, we don't have support yet for our Mac iPad friends. We're currently only supporting Chrome browser and Microsoft Edge. And so we don't have support for those yet. So stay tuned. I know who you are, who's asked this question, and I'll get that information to you as soon as we can. So stay tuned. Near future, we'll have our support for our friends out there with iPads and Macs. Let's see here. We've got next question in there. Is there the ability to have notifications go out to specific people depending on the OU of the students? Charles, you want to show that? And Manny, you can talk to it.
Well, I think Charles showed it during the demo, right? Again, it's very OU structured based. And so anytime you want to set a notification or anything there, you just make sure you're in the right OU. You hit that little speaker, whatever that is, a megaphone, and then just set it up. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing too is it's going to tell you where you are too. So our OU structure in this demo is really, really simple. But yeah, it'll tell you which OU you're in. So if I was in, for example, this one here and came to the notifications, it's going to tell you where you're located as well too. So it makes it really easy. So okay, yep, this is where I am. I'm doing these notifications. It's just for the specific OU.
Whoops, I was muted. Sorry. Well, thank you for that one. Let's see. Going on the next on the list. Is there configuration to block YouTube as a whole, but only allow channels and videos from those allow lists? Also, are there any limits per how many items can be on each block or allow list? I think so. We got two questions there.
Absolutely. With the YouTube features right now, there's not going to be a kind of block all option at the present time. And then with the other question there about the limit or kind of limits on the block list or allow list, as far as I'm aware, we don't have any kind of limitations of how many blocks or allows you can have on there. Of course, if my engineering team tells me I'm wrong on that, they'll certainly let me know. But as far as I'm aware, there's no limits on those. So they just confirmed that for me there. So.
Yeah, and categories works really well. I mean, I don't typically use sites. I mean, I guess there's an occasional site here and there that fairly new that you want to block, or you find something that you don't want anyone seeing, so you have to block it. Especially if it's like a phishing email or something where you see the domain that hasn't been blocked for whatever reason or detected. But usually the categories works like a charm.
Thank you. Good. Okay, now we answered that one. We've asked about another question on iPads, and we don't have support yet on the iPads. But let's see here. Next question: how will it work with a guest network where devices will not have the extension loaded? Well, that's kind of a showstopper there. Charles, is there anything more you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I mean, at the present time, we're not going to be doing anything with guest networks. The design of the filter is very much for filtering devices that are managed by the district. both
And
Google and
I can-
Microsoft there.
And I'm going to add to that, Charles. So usually our guest
Absolutely.
network, or the way we have our guest network structured, it's the most strict. It is going to be on the firewall side, just blocking just about anything and everything you want, with the exception of the few things that we may need. So if there is an event maybe going on where they maybe are going to need access to something, they usually submit a request for us on the ticket. We then whitelist it or allow it for that purposes of the event, and then we'll probably take it off. But that's usually handled on the firewall side, not typically on the end user device, for us at least.
Absolutely.
All righty. Thank you. Hopefully that answered that individual's question there. Let me click that one off there. Next one here. Let's see. I can see that you can make a category. Can a list of sites that you want included, example being creating an educational category, be imported from a list into a certain category and be allowed or blocked? That's kind of a. Did you catch all that, Charles? So
I did.
So the question is, about can a category be imported, created, and then have allow and blocks on that?
So I don't believe we would support a specific custom category. I don't believe we've got education on here. That being said, though, you could import from a global list or a file. So if you do have something sitting around where you want to import that and add all those sites as approved or something like that, you'd be able to do that. On the category side itself, those are kind of just pre-built into the platform. So you'd want to do that over on the on the site side of things there with the import option here.
Thank you.
And you don't have to categorize things as well too. You notice these are not categorized here. They don't have to be categorized. If there's not a good category that kind of meets your criteria there. So
somebody asked, is this available for Microsoft domain? Yes, we support the Microsoft Edge. And so the answer is yes, where that is available for that. Mm-hmm. Let's see here. Oh, you always love when somebody asks from an anonymous question. If a student has a personal Chromebook that is on our network, how do we protect it if the extension is okay? We actually already answered that question. So same thing. If you're, go ahead.
Yeah, and I can clarify that a little bit further too, how the extension is deployed. So when the user logs in to the Chrome browser, the extension is pushed out to the user because it's deployed at the Google level there. So it doesn't matter which browser or which device they're necessarily using as long as they're signed in with their district account. One thing too, if you have any devices that are devices where they're shared by multiple people, say you've got a computer lab or something like that, there are ways in Google too where if they're using Chrome, you can enforce that they have to sign into Chrome to be able to use it as well too. And there's instructions that Google has that we do have available as well too, that we're happy to provide people, that will give instructions on how to force people to have to install or have to sign into Chrome to be able to use it there.
Thank you. And I think that helps. I think that answered the next question for someone. And this went right along the line of, I think you just answered the next question there, which was supporting BYOD devices that now they're saying if they can't install extensions. Well, again, you just explained that. And Manny, you already, put your comments into that as well. If they're signing in to your Google Workspace domain in that particular example, there's more controls you have over that where you can force the extension. Obviously, if you're allowing devices into your network that you're not going to force an extension, or you're not going to force them through your on-premise network filter security, then of course we can't touch that. Right now, we're not deploying a DNS or a proxy or anything of that nature with our technology right now. Just a little too cumbersome for what our audience wants at the moment.
Yeah, I would say that's the purpose of a NAC, right? So the purpose of the NAC is to monitor who's on what, and if it's a district device or a personal device. And if it is a personal device, they should be placed in a more restricted location or area, so that, or network, so that you limit what can be accessed.
Thank you. I think another question just popped in. This one's the ever popular one. Do we have a classroom management piece to our product? And Manny, thanks for the smile. At the moment, no, we do not. We are not in the classroom at this moment.
I've asked multiple times, just so you all know.
Yeah, baby steps. We're starting with the filter piece, and then we'll talk about that one, Connie, coming down the road. And Manny, thanks. But you unhitch the wagons, and we know a lot of districts out there that do have those things separated, but we also know a lot of districts like consolidated. And it's certainly something that we are we're aware of. So thank you. Unfortunately, we just don't have that to support you right now. Alrighty, I think we got through. Yes, I think we got through the list of questions that have popped in at this moment. Feel free, everyone in the audience, if you have more questions you'd like to ask of Manny or have Charles try and demonstrate, please let us know. I know a question that was popped into me already. This is separate of, yes, this is a separate product from Cloud Monitor. I know many of you in this audience are existing users, thank you, of our Cloud Monitor platform, as Manny was. Currently, it is a separately licensed, standalone, separate platform. They are going to be integrated together very, very soon. We just brought it into the market separately, and then we're going to be bringing the two together, and they will still be available separately, or you can look at an integrated solution, which is going to be very exciting because no one in the market segment will have that ability to go from browser to the email to the drive and back all in one capability with these types of features, functionality. I think another one popped in the question. We'll get that information out to you. Somebody's asking about how the licensing works. So you can talk to a ManagedMethods sales professional, set up a private demonstration, and licensing is a subscription service, user-based, and we can certainly get that information out to you as well. So I'll come back to you, Manny, as we start to wrap up. We targeted to try and be right around 45 minutes or so, and we're hitting that time frame. Any final thoughts, things that you would share with the audience out there, not just be it about ManagedMethods, but just if they're going to go down this road, since you've been down the road with both Cloud Monitor, with our content filter. You've also had experience with other web filtering technologies, content filtering technologies. Any thoughts you want to share?
I mean, only to say that the POC was pretty straightforward and really didn't impact the environment at all. And so if you're concerned about testing or things coming your way, or you want to maybe schedule it with your team to get it done, it got stood up literally in 15 minutes, I think. I worked with Charles, so I'm going to say I was very fortunate. It was very easy to set up, and it was really easy to start seeing results almost immediately afterwards. And so if I can say, if you're not really sure which direction you want to go, that POC really is little or no impact as far as setup. And then the amount of visibility that you're going to get from it is amazing. So if I encourage everybody to try it out, and again, it is something that we are required to have, and so having something in place that works well and easy for us to manage is definitely a plus.
Well, and absolutely. I mean, we know that while we come into organizations with our Cloud Monitor platform, we're very unique in the market space. There's no one else out there that does what we do when it comes to our Cloud Monitor platform. But this market space, we're unique in that we have a lot of new feature and functionality that others don't in the market. But we also realize that probably every single one of you on this call today has, or should have, as you pointed out, Manny, some form of web filtering, content filtering to and from to meet your requirements for CIPA, to E-rate, et cetera. And many folks still do it from a browser, a network edge level, maybe through browser content filtering, maybe it's through proxies, maybe it's through DNS, maybe it's through the firewall at the network edge. So we know there's a lot of different options, and we would welcome the opportunity to show you the technology we have, just as Manny has talked about. With that said, if there are any other questions or comments from the audience, let's see here. Has anything popped back in? I'm not sure. I don't think we have anything else coming up. Okay. With that said, Manny, thank you so much for being a great friend of ManagedMethods. And, obviously you've ventured down the partnership road with us now twice, both from the Cloud Monitor perspective and from Content Filter. A lot of customers in the audience that have worked with us over the years that use our Cloud Monitor product, as well as some new faces. Charles, thank you for the demonstration today. As a reminder to everybody in the audience, you will be receiving a copy of today's presentation as well as the recording, so you can go back and look at any of the information that Charles shared. And if you'd like to learn more about our Cloud Monitor or our Content Filter product for your school, your district, feel free to reach out to us here at ManagedMethods. And you can go to ManagedMethods.com, click on the request information, sign up for a free demo, and we'll be happy to do that. Or you can even, as Manny said, go ahead and request the free audit and free trial environment set up in your district. So it's easy to do so, and we're happy to help you. With that said, Manny, good seeing you, my friend. Enjoy the warm and maybe rainy weather there in SoCal. We're getting the snowstorm here today in Colorado, so I would take warm weather over the snowstorm today. So Charles, thank you very much for joining us, and for everyone out there in the virtual land that joined us today, thank you very much, and have a good rest of your day. February 27th, Tuesday. So long.